Well, please welcome Amanda Makki, Republican candidate for Congress in Pinellas County. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Craig.
You have worked in the halls of power in Washington, including for Senator Lisa Murkowski. It looks as if your ideology may be more conservative than hers, but that part aside, do you consider her a role model and the type of lawmaker you would be?
You know, if she asked me, I'd tell her she should be a Democrat. When I worked for her, she was a conservative. I was hired as a healthcare attorney to work to stop Obamacare, which we successfully were able to hold all the Republicans together back in 2009 and 2010.
Do you think the 2020 election was rigged and that Trump won the election instead of Biden, as former President Trump contends?
The election was definitely rigged, and I was in Wisconsin as a volunteer Trump attorney to see for myself what happened. And when I was in Wisconsin, I can tell you with certainty the ballots were counted that should not have been counted.
But there were recounts and there were lawsuits, multiple lawsuits in state and federal court. There was an AP review of the election. There were reviews by outside activists, conservative activists. The head of the election commission in Wisconsin said it was a run-of-the-mill election. All of that refutes what you are saying. How are all of them wrong and you were right?
Well, I was there. And what we saw
well, they were there too.
No, they weren't. They weren't there when we were counting the ballots in the municipalities that we were in. I was in Milwaukee, and the ballots that were being counted, they were missing conditions precedent required under state statute.
You have specifically said on the campaign trail that Dr. Fauci should be locked up. Do you mean that literally? Should he go to jail for something? And if so, what would it be?
He should be fired. There are people who have lost their businesses, lost their livelihoods.
Now, but with respect, you said he should be jailed. Did you mean that literally?
Yeah, I do.
And on what grounds?
On the grounds that he is wrong on his information. He has actually worked to put out disinformation, information that is wrong, to the American people. They have stopped other therapeutics from coming to the market for being able to even be prescribed.
What specifically are you referring to?
Ivermectin.
That's for treating parasites and head lice in animals and people.
And it has also been used for people who took it during, for ivermectin. They took it during COVID when there was not a therapeutic on the market, and some people took it even after there were vaccines on the market.
And the FDA advises, in fact, urges people not to do that because it can be dangerous and not safe.
No, it's not dangerous.
If they're wrong, should then the head of the FDA go to jail too?
Anyone who does not allow people to protect themselves and give themselves the medical liberties that they're entitled to should be, because that's wrong.
There are going to be a lot of people watching this who say your assertions about the election are wrong and that you should therefore, by that same logic, go to jail. To that, you would say what?
I was there. I saw what happened. I was there as an attorney.
Putting ivermectin aside, we've advanced since then to other treatments that are highly effective. So I assume that you support the continued purchase and distribution, for example, of Paxlovid and vaccine boosters?
I believe that people should make the decisions that they want to make.
I understand your position on that. My question is, should the government continue to invest in purchases of vaccine doses in light of the potential for future waves?
I think that people should make the best decisions, and if that's vaccines, then it should be vaccines. But what they shouldn't do is stop, for example, hydroxychloroquine or other drugs from being able to monoclonal antibodies when Biden didn't allow us to have them over the summer, and Governor DeSantis said, I'm going to go purchase them myself.
Where do you stand on the issue of climate change? Do you accept the science that shows that human beings have been contributing to the climate crisis that we have and that it has very serious
I don't
risks?
think that America should be the whipping boy for the rest of the world.
But do you accept the science that shows humans are in fact contributing to climate change?
I don't.
You don't?
No.
You don't support, thereby extending that you do not support the Paris Agreement?
I don't.
What is your problem with the Paris Agreement?
In particular, I don't believe that we should be the whipping boy for the rest of the world. And I think that there are other countries that should bear the brunt of this, not America.
And how does the Paris Agreement make us that?
Well, it holds us responsible and accountable in a much larger degree than the rest of the world.
Well, these are non-binding targets, and we set what the emission targets are, and they're unenforceable.
America, we have been unfairly targeted, I would say. And I think we're doing a great job of making a difference, and other countries aren't. And yet America's always the one that's being pointed out, or America's always being the one that's being targeted on this.
If elected to Congress, what legislation would you specifically pursue in order to address the crisis of inflation and the energy crisis that we are facing with respect to high gas prices?
Well, I think the most important thing is to go back to being an energy independent country. And I think that what we have done wrong is that we have basically said we're gonna shut down the fossil fuel industry. And that was something that Joe Biden said when he was debating President Trump, right? So, it's no surprise what they've done. And I think that we need to go back to what we were doing under President Trump, because obviously, this isn't political. The price of gas was significantly less than it is right now. And we were doing things right. We were allowing for drilling, and now we're not. And those are the things that I think President Biden did wrong.
Well, President Biden contends there are some 23 million acres that have been approved for drilling that are not being pursued by those who have the permits.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's about 50% less acreage than it was before under President Trump. So I think that the more that we can expand on that, look, President Biden is not going to go against what the progressives in his party want. So we need to do more to go back, and he has made some changes, but not enough. He needs to go back to where we were under President Trump, because I believe that was what was making us energy independent. It was making the cost of gas and diesel a lot cheaper.
Should we ban petroleum exports from the United States as we did prior to President Obama?
We should allow for our country to be energy independent. I'm not worried about the rest of the world. I'm worried about us.
So we should continue to export oil, or we should not?
We should continue to build on the reserves that we have and not be beholden to foreign entities.
Where does that take us in terms of a ban on oil exports? Would you support or oppose a ban that we had prior to 2015 and President Obama on oil exports?
If we need oil, we need oil, because right now people are hurting, people are suffering. I was talking to people in a family in Seminole, and they said we have $5 to get us through the rest of the week. That's what we have in our savings, because we have to put gas in the car, we have to feed ourselves, and we don't have enough. So whatever we can do to make it better for the American people, we need to do that, because right now people are suffering right here in Tampa Bay. We have the highest rate of inflation in the country. We have the highest increase in rental and housing prices in the country. We just beat out Phoenix. And so what are we doing to make life a little bit better for people in America, a little bit like it was prior to January 20th, 2021?
Amanda Makki, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.